What?
Okay, so this will be like a rehash of what we did in February, but a bunch of you couldn't make it that time, so. Okay. So, 4 or 5 parts of the stroke, remember, right? There's the recovery, which goes to the setup, then the catch, then the pull, the exit. Okay, so it's recovery, setup, catch. Setup and catch can be combined. Pull, and then exit. Okay, so you got the power triangle, remember, right? And in the past few sessions, I've been telling you to lead with your leg. Okay, so remember that I don't want you to lunge forward with your upper body. I want you to have your lower body move forward first, and then your upper body, your torso follows. Okay, so for example, if you put the paddle down, the hands here, that's how you initiate the recovery. Lead with your leg, right? And then for catch, for setup and catch, you're not plunking down with your arms. You're lowering your shoulder and hinging. So the hinge is, so on the recovery, your hips coming forward, you're keeping your torso at an aggressive angle like this, right? And the hinge is rotating this paddle side shoulder down to the water for catch. So during practice, I might say hinge for catch. That's what I mean. I mean rotate this shoulder down to get the paddle in the water. So okay, so as usual, keep your paddle side leg forward. The other one is tucked well underneath your seat so that you can sit on the front edge of the seat and go like this, right? So lead with your leg. Okay, so power triangle, lead with your leg. And what I've noticed during practice and what I've told people is that don't think about getting your paddle forward on the recovery. So on the recovery, don't go like this, like that. You can actually have the paddle trail behind you as long as it's in the air. So when you're pulling on the recovery, hip comes forward, paddle's in the air, feathered, and then once you get to the front of the stroke, tilt it in by hinging for catch. So this shoulder comes down, and then you're in, right? So that's the stroke there. And this blade is longer than your outrigger blades, so that's why I'm splashing one. That's my excuse. So, okay. So on the recovery, you're leading with your leg, and then as you get forward onto the front of the stroke, that power triangle, keep the power triangle, hinge with that shoulder down to bury the blade, and then on the pull, again, lead with your leg. Your leg, you want your leg drive to be the movement that generates the most force, that breaks the tension at the front of the stroke, and your arms are just struts and they follow. You don't want to go like this, right? So in, driving with my leg back. Like that. I'm not going like this. I'm not using momentum to bury the blade. I'm not going like this, right? I'm hinging for catch. So shoulder down, hinge for catch. Driving with that leg. And it's a very smooth stroke, all up front. Exiting at about your knee, right here. Hey Frankie. So I've just been going over the 5 parts of the stroke, 4 or 5 parts of the stroke. So I think you were here when I've been saying lead with your leg, when we had people sitting in the boats at the dock. So that's basically what I'm going over. So on the recovery, lead with your leg, lead with your hip. Hip comes forward first. Do not think about getting your paddle forward on the recovery quite yet, not to the front of the stroke. So it's lead with your hip. Torso's at an aggressive stance, leaning forward. Then hinge, get your shoulder down to the water, paddle is buried, then drive back with your leg.
Are you doing anything with your inside leg?
What's that?
Are you doing anything with your inside leg? Or just kind of balancing on it?
I'm balancing on it, so my body weight is actually on it. So when I go like that, I'm like off the seat, right? So it's like, so you might hear people say, get off your seat. It's kind of like, if you're riding a bike up a hill, putting lots of effort in, you get off your seat, right? Same kind of thing, right? And you're not going to be doing that throughout a 2-hour race. You're going to be doing that, like, you got to put extra emphasis in, say, on the power pieces. Say, your steer or your seat 3, whoever's calling the power yells, 4 sides of power. Then you just go, right? Really focus on the leg drive. Or if you're passing another boat, you got another boat, and the signal comes to give it a bit extra to pass the other boat. Or you get some pushes to catch a wave or something like that. That's when you give it that extra, right? Otherwise, it's still leg drive, but it's not that leg drive. It's more, it's more like this. But still, you're still using your leg, right? But not as much, right? Does that make sense? And so, okay, so that's recovery. And remember to feather. So top hand, thumb along the T-grip, not underneath it. And that allows you to twist. Feathering is twisting that thumb forward, loosening the grip in the bottom hand. Right? So it's in, driving, breaking the tension at the front with your leg drive. And then as you follow through after the leg drive, use your core, rotate through, and then pull with your arm and exit. Do not have your shoulders past square. So square is here. So it's from here to here. That's the range of motion. Don't come back here. Okay? So I don't want to see. So if you exit at your knee, your blade's going to be like right about here when it's exiting, right? I don't want your blade to be back here. Okay? So you're exiting there, and I want you to exit to the side. So exiting to the side, there's 2 ways you can do it. You can feed the chickens, throw the frisbee, so it's like that, right? So it's bringing your elbow up and making room under your arm, or identifying that a bit tiring. I loosen my grip at the end. So on the pulling phase, you can even have a thumbless grip, right? And then just flick it out to the side.
So you're pushing against the water forward a tiny bit.
What's that?
Pump, right?
Yeah. So you want to flick it out the back. Well, what it is that when you plant the blade up front, like you've all done the upside down drill, the water's going to be heaviest at the front. So the blade's going to be moving the slowest through the water at the front. Then it's faster, 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 and the blade should be moving through the water the fastest at the back of the stroke. And then, so that's what we call an active exit, just kind of flick it out. And then when your paddle's in the air, the boat should glide along, and you get back in before the boat speed drops. And the amount of time it takes and the rate, stroke rate, would vary depending on conditions, right? And the crew as well, because if your crew's heavier, then you'll slow down faster.
Is the flick initiated through the top hand or the bottom hand or both?
Bottom, really, because you're.
Because I thought you're lightening up on that.
Well, it's still a hook, so it's still. So
your top hand is just passively.
It's preventing
deviating,
it.
not.
It's preventing your paddle from hitting you in the face. Because it's keeping it away from you. Because if you pull like this, there's a tendency for the resistance in the water to hold the blade in the water, and then it's kind of hits you like this.
So The idea is to exit when the paddle is straight in the water, to flip out so you're not actually lifting water off the paddle.
Yeah, because if I came all the way back like this,
Yeah,
I'd be, if you lift water at the back,
You're slowing
you're pushing
it
the boat
down.
down.
right, okay.
So you want to exit to the side. And you want, I'd like, one measure of that is you'll see a little bit of a flick off the back.
Yeah.
And remember, at the front of the stroke for the catch, you want a positive angle. So positive angle is an angle angled forward. But you don't want to have a really, you don't want to overreach. So you don't want to go like that, because if you go like that, by the time you get to the water, well, one, you're going to slap the water. Two, by the time you get to the water, it's the same as if you had just gone to there anyways, right? So.
See from this angle, how, because your elbow, top elbow is bent.
Yeah, I want you to keep your elbow below your shoulder, or at least in line with your shoulder.
Below your shoulder.
Yeah,
You can bend it going in.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, as long as you don't do this. So I don't lever it like this. So because if I'm levering it like this, there's an axis of rotation here. That's not what you want. You want an axis of rotation that's up here. So it's like a pendulum. So it's more rotating around the top or something higher than the top, right? You don't want to be like this. You want it to be right? So it's more like that, not like that. The other thing is like, yeah, if you have this hand too close like this, you're not going to get any power. Because the top hand does add some power of stability with that triangle, right? Like this. Because it helps stabilize it a lot, and you can really feel the resistance on the blade. Right?
Is the top hand driving the blade down?
There's some drive, but I don't want you to use that as the principal source of force. Because if you're yeah, well, two things. I don't want you to bob like this, because that causes the boat to bounce, right? I also don't want you to go through like that, because you're applying force downwards, and so that all that really does is pop the boat up. That doesn't really have a strong lateral component, right? Ideally, you want to move the boat forward, right? So you want to focus on pulling, not driving down, right? Because if you're driving down through an arc, you know, if you think back to vectors in high school physics, you know, if the force is being applied on a curve like that, you've got like this much lateral force and that much vertical force, right? I mean, there might be some circumstances where the vertical force in popping up the boat might be useful, like if you're surfing in Hawaii or something. But in our local waters and stuff here, you might be on a flat lake or something like that, or whatever. So you're really thinking about horizontal motion, right? And even when you're paddling like this, you know, you're going to have some downward force. So that will help pop the boat out of the water, right? Because ideally the boat will feel a bit lighter when it's popped out of the water. That's like on the race start. You know, you've got the ups to get the boat up out of the water and planing along, right? But it's going to maintain speed if you tap it along with the horizontal movement, right? I mean, you know, you can't get away from a little bit of downward that helps pop the boat up, but you don't want that to be your main emphasis, right? The other thing too is that if you're focusing mostly on going down, you have a tendency of ripping through the water and not getting a catch, because if you're going down like this, by the time I bury, see my blade's negative, right? You know, if you're skimming the water and going in from the side like that forward, you end up more with a positive angle on the catch. And I think one of the key part of the key way to get a positive angle on a catch is get the hip forward, right? So if I sit perfectly square like this and I go down like that, I'm neutral, right? But as soon as I get my hip forward, right? That's the stroke there. Hip forward, drive. Hip forward, drive. Hip forward, drive. All the stuff before and after is getting the blade in the water and getting it out of the water, right? That's the main part of the stroke where you're applying force, right? Top hand should be between bottom of your neck and top of your head. So I don't want to see hands coming up like that. I want to see that hand in front of your face. I don't really want to see top hand dropping down too far, because then your blade's coming up a lot. You want to still have it, you still want your top hand higher than your other hand. Don't let it come down to that. That all make sense? Okay. We'll have everybody get into a seat, and then what I'll do is I'll help people that are in front here, the technique, and then we'll have you move up through and around. Perfect. Yeah, make sure you get a full, well, it's hard to get a full plate with these plates because they're longer.
There's less pokey things. They don't poke around. So the bolt.
What's that?
No, I thought about the splashing guy next to me, and I did it, and I got everybody, I don't know why I came up with it.
Yeah, I can see your leg movement, that's good. Try to stay a bit more, try not to sit up so much, but you're going to sit up, but try not to sit up. Try to rotate more. Yeah, I don't see the, like, fair practice when you have a really long paddle. The top hand is dropping down all the way. So you have to clear the block. It's a weird, like, yeah. I want to rotate. Go back. On this side, go back. All the way forward. I'll get Alex on this side. Go back. I'm good.
Counterclockwise.
Oh, is that what we're doing?
Counterclockwise, yeah, circle through.
Okay, Mary, look what you did.
But this is you're gonna get tired. Going on the stand. You're gonna get tired. Oh, if you want to write down your so that was keep head level, try not to sit up.
Okay. What do you guys worry about getting back?
Okay, try to get the top hand more over the gut. So that the half of the house sit up. So I'm very, so it's basically,
And my little string, because I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to lose my glasses.
just keep that hand there. Just on the, and then just. So you want a little bit of downward pressure with top. You want the top hand to be over the gun so that the shaft of the paddle straight up and down. Yeah. You want to pull straight along the back. And I can see the paddle kind of wavering. That means you're getting good resistance on the blade, right? So eventually when you get used to it, the paddle disappears. Yeah, make it some room. Throw the frisbee. You can switch sides if you want. And just make sure you stay in the order and then you come through. Yeah, I know. Switch sides, switch sides. Or you can just chat if you want.
And this.
Power triangle. So this is keep that there. Preventing your hand from dropping.
All right.
Or yeah, just feel like your elbow. Yeah. Keep your hand and stay in front of your face. Don't try to overreach. Okay, so actually just keep the triangle. Keep the triangle and just go down like that. Get your hip forward. So very right here where I was very. Yeah, there, yeah.
I killed us on that. It doesn't take much to get it. Sorry.
So you got something to work on? Yeah. So power triangle, you can pop hand over. Don't allow it to drop down.
You're going up. You're going this way.
Now I've got the same issue.
It's got me and
Drop the shoulders to the water. These seats are a bit lower. So go over there right now. What you need to work on? Everything. And write it down twice. Everything. Just to drill it in. Right? So everything. Just let it come, and then don't overreach. You don't need to overreach.
Where's that? Like here?
Okay. So don't let your upper body lunge forward. Just go. I said put down the blade. Just do it without the blade. Okay, don't go like that. Just keep your arm straight, and then have the distance for reach dictated by your hip. Good slow, more control. Right? Don't make it sort of a really. Because if you sort of jerk forward and pull too quickly, you'll rip through the water. So you want to go up, hinge down for catch, and then drive back with your head. And then as time goes on, when you get the technique, then you can bring the rate up.
That's my biggest struggle was the racing.
Yeah. Hey Jeff, Michael Joyce want to get in and rotate through.
He's tired of getting stuck.
Alex can sit on the side because he's already gone.
Yeah.
Are we moving up?
Yep. Your foot's kind of there.
Yeah. So your hip determines the rate at which the torso moves forward.
Okay.
Good. Thank you.
Because you're getting get the part. Don't pull up there.
Like, who's that?
Because you're still at a positive angle closer in, but you're not
Recognize
slapping the
people
water.
when they're not like fully dressed and holding onto a paddle.
You went back in there?
Oh, you made it in.
You guys rotate in, and then go. Yeah, there's more of us than.
I feel that. It feels weird, that's good. It's different than what you're doing. Okay, so go down, go and write down what I was saying. Don't overreach. Mostly don't overreach power triangle. Don't lead with your leg. Don't have your upper body lunge. Let me see if this is enough.
But then I thought I won't probably so I tried. And it was all
Try to get a little bit more like that.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, you got flip-flop shots. You can use the ball Remember, lead with your leg, let your body fall away. Okay, so let your body lag, or let your torso lag compared to your So just which basically is the same as saying leave a little bit more time to set.
Trying to slow this down.
Okay, go slow motion into the front of the stroke. Okay, actually, yeah, just jab in like that. A little, just not really jab, but sort of go suddenly like this to the plant. Yeah.
We played around with the
You don't want to slap the water. You don't want to slap it like that, right? You want to sort of go in. It's like the analogy is putting the paddle from Amazon. Right. Rotate.
Oh, surprise.
So remember, lead with your leg. Slow down your upper body. Feel like you're getting more catch. You just slow down your upper body. But it's still like that. Yeah.